Super Mario Bros. 2. What a classic! It's always had a reputation as the strange Super Mario game in the original NES trilogy. With its unique mechanics, quirky enemies, and a completely different feel, it definitely stands apart from the others. But that uniqueness is part of why it's still so enjoyable today. What's even more fun is just how much is hiding beneath the surface of this game. From sneaky tricks to oddball glitches, there's a lot to uncover. And in this video, I'm digging into all of it. Surprising secrets, fascinating behind-the-scenes history, and even a stage-by-stage guide to help you get the most out of the entire game. This is the ultimate guide to Super Mario Bros. 2. Let's kick things off by taking a quick trip back to October of 1988. That's when Super Mario 2 first hit the shelves in North America. And not only did it instantly become a fan favorite, it was the top-selling video game for an impressive 14 months straight. In fact, if you exclude the pack-in games like the original Super Mario Bros. And Duck Hunt, this was the NES's all-time best seller, even beating out The Legend of Zelda. Now, you might have heard about this game's unusual origins, originally being a Japan-exclusive game called Doki Doki Panic. But that's only half the story. It actually started out as a Super Mario-style prototype, one that focused on vertical movement rather than the usual left-to-right action. Nintendo even toyed with the idea of two-player co-op, but at the time, hardware limitations on the NES forced them to shelve that idea, at least for a while. That game engine later found new life as Yume Kojo Doki Doki Panic, a game developed for Fuji TV's 1987 Media Expo Yume Kojo, or Dream Factory. It featured characters from a TV tie-in and was part of a broader media push, a kind of synergy Nintendo had tried before with All Night Nippon Super Mario Bros., a Japan-only remix of the original game built around a popular radio show. But contrary to popular belief, Nintendo didn't simply swap the sprites to Mario characters and call it a day. They actually put real effort into transforming Doki Doki Panic into a polished, smoother Mario experience. Animations, gameplay physics, and even level designs received significant tweaks to make it more fun and accessible. This game's got all kinds of secrets and hidden glitches just waiting to be found. Let's take a look at some of the coolest ones you might have missed. At the beginning of the game, you drop into the world through a door in the sky. For years, I always wondered what was behind that door. Some hidden area you weren't supposed to see. But nope, if you use a Game Genie or a level editor to get back inside, it just loops you right back to the starting area. Unfortunately, there's nothing behind it. Speaking of useless doors, did you know if you drop two potions next to each other and enter one of them, both doors will open? Wow. Potion placement is something you should always consider. The game has predetermined areas where it wants you to throw down a potion because they've hidden a mushroom there in subspace. But be careful, never throw a potion on a vine or a ladder. The door will appear, but you won't be able to enter it since you'll just start climbing instead. You've probably seen those floating hearts that refill your health, but ever wondered what actually makes them appear? The game's manual vaguely says, beat a lot of enemies, but it's actually specifically triggered every time you defeat 8 enemies. Likewise, the manual says to collect enough cherries to spawn a Starman, but the exact number is simpler than it sounds. You get a Starman after grabbing exactly 5 cherries. If you pluck 5 big vegetables in a row, the 5th one will be a stopwatch that freezes all enemies and hazards on the screen for a little while. Knowing when to pull that 5th veggie can actually be pretty strategic if you time it right. Did you know you can actually reuse the same vegetables to take out a bunch of enemies? After you throw a veggie, if you're quick, you can catch it again in mid-air before it hits the ground. I always found it fun to see how long you can keep reusing the same veggie without dropping it. If you run towards an enemy and just barely clip the top corner of their head without actually landing on them, you can pull off a double jump. This glitch is easiest to do with Luigi since he has the slowest, floatiest jump. With the right timing, you can actually use this trick to skip parts of levels, like in World 1-1, or even double jump off a Ninja in World 1-2, skipping the key and locked door entirely. Another way to skip the locked door in World 1-2 is to use Luigi's high jump to super jump off a Ninja and land right on the top of the hill. If you're using anyone other than Luigi, you can still skip the key and the door in a few other ways. Normally, the magic carpet won't last long enough to get you all the way to the top of the hill, but there's actually a trick where you can make the carpet reach further by repeatedly jumping. Just hold forward and jump. Every time you land, you'll inch the carpet a little bit forward. If you jump several times, you'll be able to reach the top of the hill. There's also a trick called the fast carpet glitch. In World 1-2, after you steal the magic carpet from Pidgeot, move left, and then back to the right to make another Pidgeot spawn with a new carpet. Now hop onto the second carpet, then quickly jump back to the first one, and it'll start moving really fast. You'll easily be able to outrun the Bezos and reach the top of the hill fast. A more difficult but fun way to skip the key is to ride a Bezo across the gap. Carefully position yourself on the leftmost base and walk off the left edge of it. This will trigger a Bezo who swoops down at you. You can jump on the Bezo, and if you're careful, you can balance across the gap. Here's a fun one. Throw a potion onto a vegetable and jump into subspace. As soon as it kicks you out, repeatedly mash B to grab the vegetable right as you appear. If you nail the timing, the item will get stuck to your head. You can still pick up and throw other stuff like normal, but the item will just chill there until you walk through a door. Then you'll start holding it again. What POW block? The physics in this game are surprisingly clever for the NES. If you manage to get underneath a falling mushroom block or a crystal ball, it won't just drop through you. Instead, it'll actually bounce off your head. Nintendo was really careful when designing Super Mario Bros. 2 to avoid situations where you could accidentally soft lock yourself. Most of the time, you have to actually try to get stuck, like in World 2-2, where you can actually dig your own grave. If you dig out too much sand, you can actually trap yourself down there with no way out. Luckily, Nintendo included a hidden trick to save you. If you ever get stuck, pause the game with controller 1, then on controller 2, press up, B, and A. If you do it right, you'll instantly lose a life and get sent back to the start or your last checkpoint. Way better than resetting the whole game. Now in the Super Nintendo version, Super Mario All-Stars made this even easier. If you get stuck, you can pause the game and press L, R, and select all at once to instantly jump back to the character select screen. You'll still lose a life, but now you can even pick up a different character if you want. Now on the NES version, if you do this trick while traveling in a rocket, it behaves strangely. First, you'll notice all your health disappears, but somehow you're still alive and can keep playing with 0 health. If you grab a heart, it'll refill your health meter, but your character will still look small. Fortunately, if you keep collecting hearts, you can actually fully recover and get back to normal. If you pull veggies in subspace, they'll turn into coins that you can use in the bonus area. But here's where things get strategic. Every level has set spots where you can find a hidden mushroom in subspace, and while grabbing the mushroom is always a good idea, you only get 2 chances per stage to actually collect coins there. So if you find a mushroom in a spot that doesn't have many coins nearby, just grab the mushroom and leave the rest. As long as you don't actually pull out any coins, it won't count against your 2 pulls, letting you save them for later in the level where there's a bigger haul waiting. There's another useful trick where if you collect all the coins and then fall into a pit while you're in subspace, those coins you pulled don't count towards your limit. You can sacrifice your extra lives for more opportunities to pull coins. You can keep doing this over and over to grab more coins and rack up a ton of chances at the slot machine. Now if you collect more than 10 coins in a stage, the coin counter switches from numbers to letters, and then eventually weird symbols. Speaking of weird things, if you throw a POW block while riding a log, it'll fall upwards. You can even do it on these things too. This one even works in Super Mario All-Stars, but was fixed in Super Mario Advance. If you throw a POW block while standing on a crystal ball, it'll pop up really high in the air. You can do this with bombs as well. It also works if you're riding a shell. On World 1-1, you can do this to skip the first cave. You can also make enemies float upwards as well. There's a very specific glitch where if you toss 2 enemies and they both collide while they're upside down, they totally freak out and float away. See you guys. Goodbye. Did you know that Toad actually runs faster when you're holding a heavy item? It's true. I tested this and it turns out that big veggies and POW blocks give him the biggest speed boost. The heavier the item, the faster he runs. It's strange, but good to know. Speaking of running, have you ever noticed how if you're holding an item and you let go of B, the run button, you can't start running again without throwing the item? It's super annoying, but there is a trick to it. If you pause the game, then hold B and unpause, you can run again without tossing whatever you're holding. If you're waist deep or lower in quicksand, enemies can't hurt you. Just don't jump while you're directly underneath them and you can easily slip by. Pokies are those big cactus characters, but did you know they defy gravity? It's true. If you lure one off a ledge, instead of falling, they float. They can even walk through the ground. Mushroom blocks usually show up in bunches and are meant to be stacked so you can climb them. But there's a weird glitch where if you're holding one and rock the D-pad left and right, and then toss a block onto a rope or ladder at just the right angle, it can get stuck in the scenery. Then if you pull it back up, it'll actually erase that part of the background. You want to hear a dumb glitch? In World 5-3, in the bottom half of the stage, you'll find a vase that's plugged up with a mushroom. When you grab the mushroom, the bombs will start coming out of the vase. Now if one blows up too close to the vase, it'll destroy it. But then if you put the mushroom down right where the vase was, then move to the left, when you come back, you'll see bombs spawning from the mushroom. What's going on here? Speaking of dumb glitches, there's a very peculiar one where if you grab a potion and then grab a Starman, and then wait until just before the Starman runs out and enter the door, after the Starman ends, you'll keep hearing the subspace music for the rest of the stage, or until you go through a door. Yeah, it's pretty dumb, but not as dumb as this. Did you know that the credits at the end of Super Mario 2 are strange? Well, that's because they're full of mistakes. The enemy Tri-Clyde is spelled wrong. It's spelled with an I instead of a Y. Hoopster somehow became Hoopstar, and Claw Grip is misspelled as Claw Glip. But the most famous mix-up? Birdo and Ostro's names are completely swapped. These mistakes were brought forward to Japan's version, Super Mario USA, and even again in Super Mario All-Stars, but were finally fixed in the Game Boy Advance version. Just like in other Mario games, Super Mario 2 has a few hidden warps to help you skip ahead. The first one's in World 1-3. Towards the end of the first part of the stage, you'll find a potion. Now carry it over to the vase on the right. Throw the potion down and head through the door and hop down the vase. You'll warp straight to World 4. The second warp is in World 3-1. Not far into the stage, you'll see a giant waterfall you're supposed to climb. Instead, drop all the way down to the little island and go through the door there. Inside, you'll find a bunch of grass to pull. Now the sixth one from the right will be a potion. Grab it and run a little to the right. Now throw down the potion and hop into the vase to warp to World 5. The next warp is hidden in World 4-2, in the area with the whales. About halfway through the stage, you'll find a potion. Hang on to it and make your way carefully past the whales until you see a vase. Throw the potion down there and jump in to warp to World 6. The final warp is in World 5-3. At the start of the stage, you'll climb up a ladder, and up top you'll find a vase. If you're playing as Luigi, you can easily high jump up there and grab the potion. This warp will send you straight to the final World 7. Now, if you've only ever played the original NES release, you might be surprised at how different the other versions can feel. Each one adds its own little twists, whether it's updated visuals, redesigned levels, or changes that tweak the gameplay just enough to feel fresh. I would recommend the original game if you want the pure, unfiltered Super Mario Bros. 2 experience with its distinctive music, visuals, and challenge level exactly as it was in 1988. The Super Nintendo port in Super Mario All-Stars is a great update to the original game, and I'd recommend it if you want a slightly smoother, more polished version that still sticks closely to the original. It features enhanced 16-bit graphics, redone sound, and a few small tweaks, but the core gameplay is almost identical. It's a great middle ground between classic and modern. But the Game Boy Advance version is the most different of the three, and definitely the most updated. If you're looking for a version that's a little easier to play, friendlier with modern widescreen TVs, and packed with several quality of life upgrades, Super Mario Advance is the one to try. The Game Boy Advance version made a lot of changes that really set it apart. For starters, the graphics were brightened up to make up for the original Game Boy Advance's lack of a backlight. It gives the game a softer, more pastel look. Some fans love it, others not so much. Some levels were even reworked, so if you're very familiar with the original game, you might run into surprises you weren't expecting. It's also noticeably easier than the original. The game hands out extra lives and hearts much more generously. Another odd difference between the NES version and the later Super Nintendo and Game Boy Advance releases is how Wart looks after the final battle. In the original, he looks pretty much done for, but in the newer versions, he looks completely wrecked. Maybe a bit too much for a Super Mario game. Every level in Super Mario Bros. 2 throws something different at you, and picking the right character can make all the difference. Whether it's skipping entire sections of a stage with a well-timed float, digging through the sand at lightning speed, or making huge vertical leaps, each character has their moment to shine. In this section, I'm breaking down every major challenge in each stage of the game, and telling you exactly who's best suited to handle it. This is a full stage-by-stage guide to picking the right character, so you can tear through each stage like a pro. World 1-1 is a great warm-up stage, and the princess's float makes the stage even easier, especially crossing the logs. In the top floor of the cave, go left and blow up this wall to skip the climbing section of the stage and come out the back door to fight Birdo. In World 1-2, after the carpet ride, use Luigi's high jump on a Ninja to skip the locked door and Phanto key chase. Use the princess in World 1-3 to float over the log areas. Towards the end of the first area, if you want to take the warp, near the last set of trouters and logs, you'll find a potion. Grab it and take it to the vase by the door. Enter it to warp to World 4. At the end of World 1, you'll meet Mouser, the bomb-tossing menace. When you enter his room, you'll find a wall blocking the path forward. Use nearby bombs to blast it apart and clear the way. Once it's open, Mouser stands on a platform, constantly hurling bombs at you. Stand underneath him, and once he throws a bomb, try to jump into it from below and catch it in the air. Then toss it up onto his ledge so it explodes near him. 3 solid hits will knock him out of commission and open up the exit. World 2 is the Sand World. Digging is the name of the game here, and Toad is the fastest at it. He is a great choice for this stage. World 2-2 has more digging, so again use Toad here to zip through the sand quickly. World 2-3 has even more digging, so Toad can be helpful, but I usually go with Luigi. Be sure to grab the mushroom at the start. There is a bonus room that's easy to get to with Luigi, but you can reach it by balancing on a Bezo with the other characters. At the end of World 2, you'll fight Triclide. This fire-shooting 3-headed snake isn't too difficult. You just have to pick up and throw the mushroom blocks at him. He really only shoots at the mushroom blocks, so that's when you're most at risk. To make it easier, you can build a wall to shield yourself from his fireballs. Grab a block, hop up top, and throw it at him. You can even jump behind him and land your hits from the rear. Hit him 3 times to finish him off. Use the princess on World 3-1, as her floating ability helps with the platforming on the tricky cloud platforms. You can actually drop down to the bottom of the waterfall to find a secret entrance. Go inside and pull up the 6th veggie from the right to find the potion. If you want, you can throw it down here to collect a ton of bonus chance coins, or if you take it to the right, here, you can throw it down and warp to World 5. World 3-2 is one of the few levels where you get to see a Shy Guy riding an Ostro. Toad is a good choice. Once you go underground, you can actually glitch through most of the stage. Stand on a bomb and then throw down a POW block. The bomb will lift into the air, bringing you with it to the top of the stage. You can use this trick to float above the stage and skip most of the level. Just make sure to jump over the ladders. I usually use either Luigi or Princess for World 3-3, since there's a lot of jumping on this stage. It gets pretty tough and can be kind of a maze. At the beginning, after the albatrosses and bombs, enter the door. The first patch of grass has a shell that you can throw at the ninjas, and the second is a potion. Take the potion left to where the locked door is, and hop inside to get the mushroom on the top platform. You'll need this mushroom for a trick later in the stage. Now the first room you want to enter is here, in the upper part of the room. In here, you'll find the key which you need to bring back to proceed. Through the locked door, keep going up until you reach this area with a ladder that you can't jump high enough to get to. Now carefully super jump into the spark and bounce off him and quickly grab the ladder. This will let you skip a section of the stage. At the end of World 3, you'll get to fight Mouser again, and this time he's got a little extra backup. A spark now orbits the room to make things a little trickier. The strategy is still all about using his own bombs against him. Wait underneath the platform for Mouser to toss a bomb to the left side. Grab it, and then hop up and lob it onto the center of his platform so it explodes right where he stands. Be careful of the spark as you move, but Mouser usually takes care of it himself with a stray bomb. This time, he takes 5 hits to go down, so keep your timing sharp. Once you land the final hit, a door opens and it's onward to World 4. World 4 is the Ice World. For the first stage, I would recommend using Luigi. The ice is really slippery, and Luigi has better handling in the air than on ice, so you can keep jumping through the stage and easily pass over everything. I would recommend the Princess for World 4 too. The whale section has tricky jumps, and her float makes it way easier to land safely. About halfway through the whale section, you'll find a potion. Grab it, and bring it a little further into the stage to the vase, which will let you warp to World 6. World 4-3 is practically made for the princess. After floating across the gap using Birdo's egg, the princess can use her hover to easily cross this big pit and skip most of the stage. At the end of World 4, you'll face the fiery boss Fry Guy. He's a bouncing flame that came to life thanks to Wart's magic. Grab a mushroom block and bring it to the top platform on the left side of the room. When Fry Guy floats underneath, drop the block on his head. Do this 3 times to break them apart into 4 smaller fireballs. Then lure them into the gap on the floor and hover above them and drop a block on them to take them out. World 5-1 is a pretty tricky platforming stage where you have to hop on trouters and logs. I would recommend using the princess if you're new to this stage, but Luigi's jump is really slow, so it's also a good choice for this stage. Like the last stage, World 5-2 has a lot of tricky platforming, where this time you have to jump on hoopsters. I would again recommend Princess or Luigi, because they are the best jumpers. World 5-3 is a very difficult stage, with a lot of bombs and tricky jumps. I would recommend using the Princess for this stage if you plan on playing through it. The Princess's float will give you better control when dodging the panzers, and it makes stealing Pidgeot's carpet safer and easier. If you plan on using the warp, I would recommend using Luigi. At the beginning of the stage, after you climb the ladder, you'll see a vase. Super jump up there and grab the first patch of grass to pull a potion. Throw it down and you can warp to World 7. The boss for World 5 is Claw Grip, the rock-throwing crab boss. He camps on the right side of the room, lobbing boulders that bounce off the left wall. The trick is to catch those rebounding rocks as they roll towards you. Ignore the ones that fly overhead. Wait on the L-shaped platform on the left, grab a rolling rock, then hop up to the steps in front of him and chuck it in his face. Repeat 5 times, and the crab is cooked. World 6 is back to the desert. I would recommend either Princess or Luigi for this stage, since there are a lot of fast-moving enemies like Cobrats and tall ones like Pokies. It's so much easier to just jump or float over them. The area with the Cobrats and vases is meant to confuse you. You can go down most of these vases, but the one you want to go down is this one. Inside, you'll find a short digging section with a key at the bottom. World 6-2 is all about riding albatrosses, and both Princess and Luigi are good choices for this stage. Start by riding the albatross going right, then hop to this one going left, and finally hop onto this one higher up heading right, and ride it to the end of the stage. World 6-3 mixes bomb-filled caves with vertical vine climbing. Luigi's high jump is great for the vine climbing section, but Princess's float can really help out on most of the stage. There's also a trick to skip this entire stage. Right after the start, after you climb the ladder, go left and sink into the quicksand while jumping to pass under the wall. Go through the door and then move left. This door leads to the Birdo fight at the very end of the stage. At the end of World 6, you'll fight Triclide again. He does the same attack where he shoots fireballs at you, just a little more aggressively. In my opinion, this battle is a little bit easier than the first one, since you can stand right here at the right edge of this platform and none of his shots can hit you. Pick up a block, duck to charge a super jump, and once his flames pass, hop up and chuck it at him. Repeat the process with 2 more blocks, and you'll land the 3 hits needed to put him to rest for good. World 7-1 is pretty straightforward, with only one path that you can go. I'll usually use either Luigi or Princess for this stage, as they're both good options for when you have to ride the albatross to the rocket. World 7-2 is the last stage of the game. This is Wart Castle. There are actually 2 paths through the castle, one that goes down and one that goes up, and the juncture is here. Use Toad if you're going down, since his speed makes it easier to quickly grab the mushroom blocks and avoid sparks. If you're going up, Princess is a great pick. Her float will let you hover in the air and wait for the sparks to safely pass beneath you during the climbing sections. At the end of the stage, right after grabbing the crystal ball, something unexpected happens. The Hawkmouth comes to life and charges straight at you. Before starting this fight, move the 2 mushroom blocks to the ground on the left side of the crystal ball's platform before you pick it up. Once the Hawkmouth starts flying towards you, run back to those blocks. You can duck under the Hawkmouth, and when it slows down to turn around, throw a block to stun it. Hit it 3 times to move on to the final battle with Wart. Next, you're at the end boss. This is Wart. At the start of the room, you'll see a strange machine pumping out vegetables, and that's your only weapon. So stand right under the pipes and get ready. Wart attacks by spitting out long chains of bubbles, which can destroy the veggies if they hit them first. Your goal is to grab a vegetable, dodge the incoming bubbles, then wait for Wart to open his mouth. When he does, that's when you toss the veggie in his mouth and land a hit. Timing is everything here. Stick to a rhythm. Wait near the chute, catch the veggie, dodge his bubbles, then attack when he opens his mouth. It takes 6 clean hits to take Wart down. When it's all over, he'll flail, fade, and finally collapse, freeing the subcons from his nightmare rule. With Wart defeated, head through the final door and enjoy the well-earned ending. Each of the 4 heroes is shown, and the game tallies how many times you used each one. Congratulations, you've beaten Super Mario Bros. 2. And that wraps up my ultimate guide for Super Mario Bros. 2. Hopefully you discovered some tricks you didn't know, or at least found a couple new reasons to revisit this classic again. Now I'd love to hear from you. What was your favorite secret or trick? Did you already know most of these, or were some completely new to you? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, make sure to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss my future videos. Make sure to leave a like on it too. It really helps out my channel. I appreciate your time, and I'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye.